If you flip onto the next page, you'll see that we're going to start simplifying some more complicated expressions than ones we've been working about. But our plan is going to be the same for all of these expressions, even though they range in difficulty down to something that looks crazy like this. Our plan is always to distribute if we can, then combine like terms. We have to go in this order, distribute first, then combine like terms, because of the order of operations. Our order of operations, GEMDAS, does tell us to deal with groups first, but those groups are when we have something going on inside of a set of parentheses that we can do an operation inside. But the big deal here is that multiplication, which is what distributing is, always comes before adding and subtracting, which is what combining like terms is. So combining like terms is an example of adding and subtracting, and distributing is a way to multiply, so we always have to do it first. So let's see this in action with some problems. I'm going to look at, we could do a bar model for these problems if we wanted to, and let's do that for the first one. But then moving forward, we're going to work on that distributive property. So the first thing I would need to do if I'm drawing a bar model for this section is to deal with the fact that I have three groups of this thing 2x plus 5. So I would draw out my 2x plus 5, and then I would copy it over 3 times because I have 3 of them. So now here I have 3 2x plus 5s. Then it also says I have 10. So I'll draw in my 10. The problem says to add those things together, so I'm just going to total up everything I have. I have 6 x's and 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that would be my final answer using a bar model. I multiplied first by drawing those groups out multiple times, and then I added on the extra. Let's look at the next problem using the distributive property. So in this problem, it says I have half of 4x minus 10, and then I need to take away 3x. So I'm going to start by distributing that 1/2 to everything inside of the parentheses, but not going beyond where those parentheses stop, because this 1/2 is only applying to the stuff in this group. Then I'll multiply, because distribute means multiply. So half of 4x is 2x, because half of 4 is 2. And then half of 10 is 5. And I'm subtracting those 2 things. And I still have my minus 3x over to the side. Now I see a lot of subtraction in this problem, and I know that I want to group my like terms together to make sure I come up with the right answer. So I'm going to change the subtraction into adding the opposite so that I can move my terms around how I like. I want to put the x's together, so now that it's all addition, I can group my negative 3x and my 2x together. And then my plus negative 5 is going to be all by itself because it doesn't have any like terms. Then I'll combine 2x and negative 3x. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. So I have negative 1x and negative 5. This is a great answer. This is a correct answer. But because I have a 1 as a coefficient, I might just get rid of it because we know that negative 1x and negative x are the same. I also might change my plus negative 5 back into minus 5. Both of these answers are equally correct. But this is one you would be more likely to see if you were looking at a textbook or on an answer key somewhere. Let's do a few more together. All right, so the next one we have is 5 times x plus 3 minus 6. So I'm going to use the distributive property here, and I'm going to identify where that's happening between the 5 and this group x plus 3. Then I'm going to multiply 5 times x, 5 times 3. When I'm multiplying, I might notice that there's nothing written in front of that x, and we've learned that x and 1x are the very same thing. So I'm going to add that 1 in there so I don't get confused. When I multiply, I get 5 times 1 is 5x, and 5 times 3 is 15. And I haven't yet touched this minus 6, so I'm going to do that minus 6 here. Then I'm going to look for any like terms that I have. So I see that I have 15 minus 6. Those are like terms because they're both constant. So I'm going to subtract those to get 9. And my final answer would be 5x plus 9. Stop here and try number 4 for yourself. And in the next video, we'll pick up with number 4 and do number 5.